into a question from the last event. Most of you are the same people from that event anyway, so thank you for humoring me. This is the Space Makers event here in Banter, which is all about how to make spaces. Yeah, two things I always talk about. Love and Pony's Iron Man avatar, that's great. Up here behind me, you've got the Banter website, right? In the top right corner, the two most important links there, first of all, is the Discord, where you can kind of get in and chat with anybody who's making stuff in Banter, or even avatars that you can bring into Banter as well. And the other one is the Docs link, right? So that's the most up-to-date sort of repository of information around the way that you can kind of build for Banter. So I'm going to jump right in here. Shodan, who I've megaphoned over here, has asked a question. I'm going to jump right in and answer that for him. And I'll just let anybody else know we've got a podium here to the right. Few times. I'll just reiterate it again. Be backwards compatible with today, things we've already built will continue to work and will continue to be supported in it. But the version 2 of our SDK is it's born based on the fact that we tried to build out a game using our version 1 SDK and realized how horribly clunky it was, and realized that we wanted to kind of re-engineer that whole interface. So version 2 is kind of a shift away from us prioritizing, let's say, AFRAME and JavaScript as the entry point for building in Banter, and moving more towards Unity, right? But we're still using JavaScript for you to be able to write functional code to be able to interact with that. So version 2 is going to be much more tightly coupled with the Unity API. If you're familiar with writing code, especially C# in Unity, you should find a lot of the things in SDK v2 are quite familiar to you. I think one of the biggest parts about SDK v2, though, is that we're basically building a pretty complicated plugin for Unity that allows Banter-based, browser-based, JavaScript-based stuff to all execute within the Unity editor, right? That's something I'm particularly excited about. So we have an embedded browser, which also doubles as a local web server. And it has support for things like live reload, which can be really beneficial when you're building things. So you'll basically be working inside the Unity editor. You'll be able to hit play and run your Banter space, including all of the functional stuff, and then be able to make changes in real time, and it will just reload live in the editor as you make changes in any of the code. So that's basically how we expect that to work. The great benefit there really is that you'll have the entire suite of Unity tools at your disposal. You'll be able to mess with the hierarchy, inspect things with the inspector. You can even leverage the Unity profiler if you wanted to be able to dig in on the performance on your space, right? So that's kind of a far cry from where we are today, where to be able to, you're in a black box, really. You've got itself. So that's kind of what we're building. A lot of the base core logistics and communication has now all been fleshed out and is working pretty well. We want to do some larger scale tests on that, but otherwise it's working pretty well. And right now we're actually working on a number of games that we want to build with the SDK. We think this is an important step because it will help us to understand how good it is at building stuff, how simple things can be to build, or what kind of pain points and pitfalls people are going to come across when they're using it. So I'm working on a paintball based game, a physics based paintball game. Aline is working on a prop hunt style game. We've also got another one of our engineers who's going to be working on like an RC game, remote control, cars, planes, who knows, maybe helicopters, drones. Yeah, and we're also maybe going to be working with one or two community members as well to have them build some stuff with it before the general availability for everybody else. But the hope there is that we'll have a number of examples that you can work with out of the gate with the SDK, plus hopefully some reasonably polished content games specifically. So Shodan, that's a long-winded answer. I hope that answers your question.
That's more than just wow. I do like the idea of making mini example games. That's absolutely brilliant. So are we thinking that we might be able to support AI characters or something like that?
Yeah, AI characters would definitely be possible. We've already actually prototyped some AI characters. We had a really angry character in one of our spaces for a number of weeks. You could go in and talk to her in-world, if you're familiar with those guys, right? They wrap the whole thing up quite nicely. So you can build an in-world integration in a number of ways because they have JavaScript SDKs and Node.js SDKs. So you can actually build a lot of that in with integrate it with the JavaScript system that we have here. And then, yeah, in terms of just passing those audio blobs back and forth, you can do that to be able to just play back the audio, which is great. We also have
And
speech
quite
to
frankly,
text.
terrifying.
What's that? Sorry.
Quite frankly, that's amazing.
Nice. Yeah, we have a little bit of AI in the space. We use speech to text powered by Whisper. Originally, it was offline, but the performance and the quality wasn't great, so we've pushed it onto our own private server on a service called RunPod, if you're familiar with that. And there's an AI gallery space where you can just go in and speak to some of the pictures and have it generate whatever you want, a bunch of styles for different pictures.
Wow. Okay. I'm going to get out of the way so everybody else can talk, and I go in this tree because I'm good at that.
Cheers. Good to see you, Shodan. Yeah, so I'll reiterate. Anybody wants to take a step up onto the podium there, I'll be more than happy to answer your questions. If nobody takes a step up, I'm just gonna talk crap for a few minutes and just make some stuff up. I maybe might take an opportunity to highlight that this event is being streamed. So all you guys smile, you're on candid camera. Kalima's trying to make her way up there, but I'm gonna wait until she's successful. And there you go. Nice one.
Okay. I guess what reminded me of this, you mentioned the AI gallery, which is a really fun thing. I love that. Derwood Bacon and I were talking about it would be kind of cool to have a fractal generator in world somewhere. Have some buttons, put in some parameters and things. Start with general types, Mandelbrot set, Julia set, whatever. Is something like that possible? I would love to have that.
I mean,
I don't know.
it's an interesting topic. I mean, possible, most certainly, right? I
Mhm.
imagine if there's a way to generate some kind of images in that way externally, then those images can be loaded into the game, on the fly, let's say, dynamically at runtime. The same with video clips. If there's a way to kind of
Mhm.
generate those, then there should be a way to be able to wire them up. Now, one thing I'm not sure about, and caveat, I'm not a shader expert by any means, but I don't know if some of that stuff is potentially possible to do some of that fractal math in a shader. I mean, maybe, I don't know, maybe not. But
Okay. I don't
if
know.
that were possible, then potentially, yeah, you'd be able to surface some of those shader properties as input, configuration, and then possibly you'd be able to do some stuff. I mean, that sounds pretty trippy. I don't know, Aline,
You
what
have
do you
to do
think
it
about
in a
that one?
shader. You can't do it in real geometry. I mean, you can do it, but you have to use compute shaders. So I'm not
Gotcha.
sure about to get it to run on mobile. I mean, for PC, no problem, but on Quest, that's always a little bit difficult.
Will that involve like ray marching or something like that, where you're just
Yes, yes,
Right.
exactly.
Gotcha.
Okay.
I say the words, but I don't fully understand what they mean. But yeah, there's
The ray
probably
that's
sites
marching.
like yes, there you go. That's it. There's sites like Shader Toy, right, which would be a good one to check out. You might be able to see if you can find something in there that's a fractal, right? And there might even be then a way to possibly convert some of those shaders into high-level shader language, which is what Unity uses and what Banter uses. So yeah, there might be a few different avenues to explore there. There might also be, who knows, right? Something on maybe GitHub or possibly on the asset store.
Okay.
That has some fractal shaders, I guess, is probably what you'd be looking
Okay.
for. Mandelbrot shaders, maybe.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
That's a great question. We tend to like trippy shit in Banter. I think that's a fair thing to say. So
Yeah.
that's a great question, and I think it could make a great addition. For anybody who wasn't in the last event and is confused by my avatar or even slightly aroused, let me just explain that this was something that I promised I would do. Ander made me promise I would do it, so I'm doing it and I'm owning it. If you don't mind me saying, I'm leaning into it. Yeah, this avatar. Yeah, I'll fill the time while we're waiting. Anybody else wants ask a question of making spaces in Banter? Just take the podium. In the meantime, I'll enjoy re-explaining to you again where this avatar came from. You know, it was funny. It was before Aline was with the company, and she just sent me a random DM one day, completely out of context, and I think it just had the words "too much?" question mark and a screenshot of this avatar, right? But you know, it's a screenshot of it with the kind of full wide mouth open amount, you know, like like that, basically, right? So, and she's like, too much, and I was like, oh no, and I showed it to Max, our CTO, and he was like, hire her on the spot. Oh god, I don't think she really thought I was going to lean into it as much as I did, but this basically became our marketing message then for the next sort of 2 months probably, where this is all that we, you know, it was all about the snowman. Everything was coming flying out of this snowman. It was me, my avatar. There was a whole you know, there was a whole thing. Then we had loads of giveaways, so it's like a quest or a beanie or something, you know, a game. I don't know, loads of things coming flying out of the snowman's butt. But yeah, by the end of it, Aline was sick of it. She had to tell me to take it down. I'd taken it too far, you know. But here we are again, and I'm wearing it, and Aline uploaded it to her portal. So I think we're all kind of complicit here. I think we're all liable for this. Hey, Leah, how you doing? Sorry, I was waffling on. Didn't even see you there. Go ahead. You're megaphoned. Everybody can hear you.
I had
What
a
have you?
question for you.
Okay.
If can we put A-frame and and the game space world together?
A-frame with, you mean the new SDK that we're working on?
Yeah. Yes.
Yes. So yeah, the new SDK will be backwards compatible with the existing SDK, and because the existing SDK is based around A-frame, that means that yes, the new SDK will work with A-frame sites. How we're doing that for anybody that's interested is that we're going to build a shim or a polyfill that basically is able to emulate A-frame capability, and then we'll be able to convert from A-frame into the new SDK interface that we're building, right? So that's just going to be a nice little interface plugin that might serve as the basis for integration with other client-side 3D libraries in the browser, right? Like 3JS or Babylon, right? The name just eluded me there for a second. Let's just Get rid of that foot.
Thank you. It's so much kind of you. That's
He'll
why
be
I
back.
went down is like flicking in my eyes.
Yes. He'll be back. Yes, thank you for that question, Leah. Absolutely. A-Frame will still be supported in the new SDK. Bob, what
Yeah,
have you got for
just a
us?
quick question, just following up on Leah. Maybe more of a broader question for other people here interested to
Yeah.
know. With the new SDK, you said that there's going to be A-Frame compatibility still. Will the A-Frame compatibility be expanded to allow more functionality that's natively in more of the A-Frame? Because at the moment, there's some things that you can't do with the A-Frame. You know that you can do natively in a browser with the A-Frame.
Yes, I get you.
But
The truth is,
no problem if it's not.
yeah, probably not is the truth.
Yep.
We're moving more towards a decoupled state so that you're not necessarily dependent on A-Frame, and we're really just building out a JavaScript API first, and then looking at building integrations into A-Frame and potentially others as well. The problem with leaning more into A-Frame is that it might become difficult to be able to support those kinds of features across some of the other libraries as well, notably Babylon, let's say, not necessarily 3JS, but possibly Babylon. I think the recommended way to build in future is going to be using the new JavaScript SDK, but we do have quite a lot of functionality that has already been surfaced in the existing SDK, and we're going to endeavor to support all of that. So, yeah, I think it makes sense to try to focus all of our energy on the happy path, let's say, and the new SDK is definitely going to be that happy path. But hopefully, we can provide a lot of examples that make it easy to kind of get started, as well as sample projects and stuff like that. So, I mean, even to date, right? Anybody that's been using, let's say, our Unity stuff, you'll find that the setup is difficult, right? You've got to download extra packages, and there's errors you don't understand, and it's not handling that for you automatically. Well, yeah, I guess you'll be glad to know that the new SDK does just handle all of that automatically. And when you pull it into a new project, it just installs whatever it needs to install in the background, and you don't have to worry about it. And it just does it all automatically for you. But yeah, long story short, I think the new SDK should be just as easy to get started with and get going with, and should be easier, in fact, for those who are starting out who haven't used A-Frame before. Because one of the biggest bits of feedback we've seen from creators, especially those who are more familiar with Unity as an interface, is that the A-Frame stuff can be a bit daunting, right? Even though it's not actually that difficult, it can seem daunting to some. So, yeah, we want to give people options. A-Frame will be hopefully one of those options in future. Yeah, thanks for that one, Bob. Yeah.
Yep, no worries.
So, yeah, as I said, anybody who wants, they can make their way down to the podium here, and we can answer a question. And since there's no one there right now, I'm just going to megaphone Richie, who's up in the little house there. Everybody can hear him. He's on 2D mode. He's waving. And Richie might give us his thoughts. Richie, do you need me to explain my avatar, or are you good? You get it?
I can smell it from here.
Oh boy. Oh no.
But
Okay.
it smells delightful.
Oh, no.
Oh Jesus! No, that was too soon. Somebody escort Richie off the premises.
Whoop, whoop.
Yeah, I think what we usually tend to do is turn this into a space hopper event, right? If we run out of questions, because I think a lot of you have been here before and we've answered a lot of questions. But Yeah, I don't know. Faye, is there anything else on the agenda for this week? There's nothing else that we have to announce. Anything I'm forgetting?
Mm, not that I'm thinking of. We have a lot of new events coming up.
Okay.
The event calendar is really filling out for the GMT time zone. So be looking out for about 13 new events. Yeah, just be watching.
Okay. Cool beans. Loads of new events.
Exciting
Yeah.
things. Very cool ones. Yes.
Yeah. We're trying to fill out the events calendar so that, there's always something coming, hopefully something interesting coming around the corner, right? That, usually within hopefully whenever we're done, within sort of 30 to 60 minutes, there's probably something else cool coming on, right? And yeah, some of the new events that we've got coming are definitely really interesting. Yeah, myself and Bob, for instance, we're going to take part in an event where we just sit and waffle on like this, basically for, I don't know, what is it, 30 or 45 minutes in a new event that we're calling Tech Waffle, right? Where we just talk about whatever the latest technology is. Usually at this event, there's one or two people that will ask questions about, just the state of the industry, where we are, what sort of tech is available, what we all kind of think about it. So that's something that we're going to get involved in. Yeah, I'm also excited about, there's a little Carl Sagan event that's going to just, take some of the stuff Carl Sagan has done, and it's just some videos, I guess, from YouTube. But when you put it in Crystal Lake, it kind of blows your mind a little bit. So, yeah. So anybody who appreciates, having their mind blown, there's always that. Yeah, we've got an ongoing Quest 3 giveaway at the minute. I think it ends in, I don't know, maybe 9 days or something like that. To remind anybody who's not familiar, anytime you're online, you have a random chance of being selected at any point over the next 9 days, anytime you're on the platform. Then we'll announce that winner at the very end in 9 days. The winner may have already been picked, they may not, right? That's the chance that you've got. But yeah, one other thing maybe I'll finish up on if there's nobody else, no other questions. Again, about the new SDK that we're working on, something that, in fact, I was only just working on this evening. Have you got a question, Lee?
Yeah, but go ahead.
Okay.
It's just a
Okay,
quick one.
I'll finish up quickly. But yeah, one thing I thought was interesting, maybe it's useful when you're building your worlds in Unity, right? That you hit play in the editor. Well, you've got your headset, and you've got pretty much everything you need to be able to go into Unity in virtual reality. So we're, adding that support as well, that you'll have a basic character controller. You'll be able to kind of move around. It won't have much of the physics, and there'll still be a couple of gotchas, but you'll be able to go in and test out, grabbing objects, for instance, and, pressing buttons with them in your hand, that kind of stuff. All of that in the Unity editor, right? With all the tools, bells, and whistles that the Unity editor has. But yeah, go ahead, Lee, if you want to try and take the podium. I'll be happy to answer your question. Oh, no.
What's a realistic time frame for V2 to come out?
That's a great question. I think that a realistic time frame is probably about 4 to 6 weeks, depending, right? I feel like there's a few people who might curse me if they heard me say that time frame, right? But that's kind of what I'm aiming for. I think I'm most of the way through building the game that I'm trying to build right now, which is a pretty exciting place to be. I think off the back of that, I want to, backfill a bunch of new components in the new system that I haven't, come across through the process of building the game, and I want to work with at least some people internally to build out some more of those games. At that point, that's a potential time for a release candidate. Then, if maybe we feel like we want to get some more eyes on it before it goes for a wider release, we might try to work with somebody in the community, maybe to port some existing content or games that they have over using the new SDK, and just try to iron out any final kinks before we finally put it out there, right? The thing about things like SDKs is that when people are using your tools to build things, you have to be 100% sure that everything is set in stone before you put it out, because it becomes very, very difficult to change anything again in future, right? So we're trying to avoid shooting ourselves in the foot down the line, and trying to keep things clean, clear, and simple in the new SDK. But yeah, 4 to 6 weeks to answer your original question.
Yeah. Okay. And why am I looking at your butthole every time I talk?
Honestly,
looking-
that says more about you than me, my friend.
My ass, man.
This is just my normal avatar. I just wear this all the time. This is just totally standard for me. So, and of course you're an ass man. Have you seen the back? The back? Here, I'll megaphone you again. So, and then give us a twirl there, Lee, so everybody can see. No twirl. Oh boy, it's got junk. Thank you for that, Pete, and thank you for allowing me to subject you to that. And I apologize.
It's all right.
Okay. Yeah, so yeah, we've only got a couple minutes left. Yeah, I don't know, Faye, do you have any worlds specifically that you think would be fun to visit? And if not, I'll pass that same question on to Aline.
I would say that a lot of people haven't seen Club Atlas yet. That's a real
Okay.
Oh yeah, Club
space
Atlas.
that,
Yeah. Oh boy.
Interesting.
Peroxide made.
That's our boy Peroxide. I haven't seen that one myself, although I have heard good things, and I know Aline likes
do
that
it.
one. Would
Oh, yeah,
you
it's a really cool.
would you agree that's a good one to
Yeah.
go with, Aline?
Yep, absolutely.
Nice. Okay. Well, I see our
good.
boy Peroxide is up here. Maybe he can throw down an honorary portal, and or we can all try and jump up to Bob's portal.
Parkour challenge.
Ooh.
Parkour portal. Thank you guys, and thank you to Shoseki, who's recording all of this. I'll wrap her up now for you, Shoseki. Thanks everybody. We'll see you all
Thanks,
next week. Now we
Shoseki.
can all jump into this portal. Yay!
Go.
Okay, come on down.
Oh no.